I wish good things to you who is watching this. I am Alexey, and this is the very last match of Week 3 of the Carcassonne Champions League 2025, where we're going to see Lambe of Italy fight for the tournament life against Tito Arce of Chile in Group B. You can see the results of the previous weeks, and the tournament situation is pretty convoluted, so most of the tournament table has been updated. Alexey has actually won 3 out of 3, so they are in undisputed first place, and they've guaranteed themselves the option to qualify. But 2nd through 6th place is very much up for grabs. As you can see here, Lambe of Italy lost their first 2 matches against Alexey in the first round and against Vivian Charlot, the reigning runner-up of this competition. He came 2nd in 2024, losing only to Vladimir Kovalev in the finals. So he had already played against his 2 toughest opponents. Well, I guess Bogdan Kurkan, the reigning bronze medalist of the World Championship, will certainly be a difficult challenge for him. But still, if he manages to win against Tito Arce today, then he gets 1 victory and 2 losses, same as pretty much everybody else. Because look at this. So Vivian Charlot unexpectedly lost 2 out of 3 matches. 1 against Alexey and 1 against Bogdan Kurkan, a game over. Then the 2023 semi-finalist of the World Championship, Xiangyu Qin, also quite unexpectedly lost against Alexey and against game over. So kind of 2 of the group's favorites are not doing that well, and if Lambe wins today, then in the last week, or in the last 2 weeks of the group stage of the tournament, everything is absolutely up for grabs. Now, if Lambe does lose the 3rd match in a row, probably this would mean that the tournament would be over for them. And Tito, on the other hand, would be in undisputed 2nd place and very close to guaranteeing himself qualification from one of the top 3 spots. So, an important match from a tournament standpoint for both players. Hi, Rebo. Yes, saying congratulations. The congratulations are, of course, as most of you know, for the Mind Sports Olympiad, which concluded just an hour ago today. I happened to win that one, of which I'm still absolutely elated. And this was quite an exhausting 2 days, but I am planning to make a video recap of the Mind Sports Olympiad in due course, showing some key moments on my journey to what has now become a 2nd gold medal and a spot at the World Championship this year in Herne. And I hope to do so as soon as possible because there were some really, really interesting games. But the Mind Sports Olympiad has concluded, but Carcassonne does not stop. There's still a Carcassonne Champions League match today in 1 minute, and we're going to follow it. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a second so that you can just see all the previous results. About the players, though, I just want to say that it is as close as a match as you could possibly get. It's like truly 50-50 chance of winning. So if you look at the ratings over here, 620 for Lambe, like mid-range expert. Tito Arce is 600, so really solid players, as you can see, with thousands and thousands games of experience. So truly anybody of them could win today. And the match is starting. The Italian player with his yellow meeples goes first, has the slight statistical advantage as the starting player. Meeples a new city. Tito meeples a city in response. Although it's an interesting placement, actually. It's not obvious which placement is better, whether this one or this one. Trying to get closer to this guy, he chooses to start a city independently, and so far it's paying off. He covers up his city from one side, and he's now trying to finish an 8-point city and also obstruct Lambe's roads and city a little bit. Now Lambe is trying to not get his road meeple blocked. There's still 10 tiles that fit comfortably in that square. But Tito draws a splitter and invades the Italian city. In the meantime, the player with the yellow meeples uses a blocking approach. Instead of starting a 2-point road, they instead use a curve and try to completely block Black city. Black immediately defends, still leaving 6 tiles that fit into that square, but they make the first real and serious mistake of the game. Failure to meeple this road is, of course, quite a big opening mistake. I'm kind of surprised that they might have simply forgot about this or something. But you always meeple a road like this, because otherwise your opponent can draw a curve and just get away with easy 4 points. So what you normally want to do in the Carcassonne opening is just try not to leave features for your opponent to meeple, because otherwise it's just too easy for them to score points. And in the opening of the game, it's especially important because there's so few tiles on the board that scoring opportunities are limited, and you really, really don't want to be creating scoring opportunities for your opponent. So now this will end up not mattering, as Tito will end up meepling that road anyway. I mean, he just should have meepled this earlier, but Lambe, with a great move, he manages to block the square completely. He blocks Tito's city for just 3 points. He also blocks his own city in the process, but this city is already scoring 5 points. And with the majority of the game still ahead, he'll be able to build it further with big tiles, with extenders, with triple cities, with Doritos, and all that good stuff, which normally doesn't fit very well on the board. So that's a huge strategic gain for the player with the yellow meeples, and combined with their 4-point lead on the scoreboard, puts them in an excellent position to try and win this game. So what does Tito do in response? There is a strong move that I had in mind, but it's not easy to see at all. And he finds it. This is by far available the best move on the board, and it's a bit counterintuitive, but it has 2 purposes. So he starts a 4-point road to catch up on the scoreboard, and also he leaves the shielded tile up for grabs, which normally is a bad thing, right? Normally you really don't like leaving city tiles around for your opponent. But in this particular instance, whoever grabs that tile, they have to place something over here to start a new city. And this would expose this would expose this square of yellow for a potential blocking attack. And you see, that's why Lambe didn't go over here, didn't start a new city, and Tito is going to grab that city instead. So that's very smart how the Chilean left this tile for himself. And now with this piece that's left dangling around, he's threatening to draw something like a Dorito and try to block the square completely. So of course Lambe persists. He scores 3 points for a road, making it much harder for the square to get blocked. Tito now finishes his city, decides not to drop a farmer, which I think is mistaken, because there's some really, really good farms available for either side. And for example, Lambe could go over here and drop a farmer. That would really, really hurt the Chilean now. And you see also there's another problem. Now Black cannot drop a farmer here, because you really hate to be limiting this square. Because if you limit this square, then you leave yourself fewer blocking opportunities against this square, to which yellow's meeples is tied. In the meantime, the Italian has already 5 points ahead on the scoreboard. He's now trying to set up some sort of attack against Tito's monastery. I just have to point out quite a hefty mistake from Lambe earlier a little bit. This tile over here should have really been pointed that way with the road tile facing down, because it appears that inadvertently the Italian has created a juicy monastery spot next to Black's monastery, which will benefit them immensely, with 5 monasteries still in the deck. And now, for example, Tito has quite an easy move to cover up. He can go over here, leaving still 4 monasteries in the deck that fill here for a whopping 8 points and giving him a meeple back. Or he can even not bother. Probably there are some stronger moves available. For example, he could just start a new city, also prolong his road and save his monastery spot that way. Or a move which I really like, he could actually just go over here and drop a 9-point farmer. Instead, he protects his city, which makes all the sense in the world. Lambe now has to take out that monastery spot, of course, and at the very least, he will be giving back a meeple to Tito. Tito with a city cap. Now, probably looking to go over here, but that's tricky, though. That's really, really tricky, because if you go over here, you kind of save Lambe's road, right? So if you go over here, Lambe has two options to get his meeple back. Either he can go over here with the road monastery, which he can do anyway, or he can do this and then try draw the one remaining dagger. And he does get the road anyway, but Tito now with a chance to, again, block that square, or at least severely restricted. If he goes over here, that will be a block towards the 50-50, towards one of the two, well, actually towards only the one only remaining umbrella tile left in the deck. As you can see, two of those already here, and that's what he does. And he also tries to invade this field over here, which actually makes a lot of sense, because if the umbrella tile... What? No, you have to be kidding me. Oh, Tito, I cannot believe that. This is... Hector, what are you doing? This just has to be, like, the blunder of the week. So he draws the one tile that fits for his opponent. And instead of finishing an 8-point city for himself, he helps Lambe with his blocked road. I guess he was trying to enter the farm, but then why not wait for a straight line and enter it like this? I am completely shocked. Like, for players of this caliber, this sort of mistake is just quite close to unbelievable, frankly. Hi, Elias. Hi, Claudio. I can see we have mostly supporters of Chile. Do let me know if you have any Italians, because Lambe would probably also need some support. But even without support, he's doing just fine. Only 4 points behind in the scoreboard, but he has this monastery which sort of compensates the road of Tito. He now managed to successfully invade this city. He has an extra field for 9 points, an 8-point city up for grabs, a ruin which is still growing and is bigger than Tito's ruin, which is capped at 3 points. So actually it's a good position for Lambe. What could Tito do? I guess just keep scoring, and I think the main plan for the Chilean is just to really, as soon as possible, draw a curve and get a 9-point farmer here. And then steal this farm on the right, which actually will be quite difficult to fight for. Yeah, given the fact that there's some really, really juicy fields, the meeple count in this game is really important. So if one of the sides can get a meeple advantage, which is not possible for either of the side yet, then they could win a big field and win pretty easily. And this makes this move over here from Tito such a gigantic mistake, because... Oof, interesting. So they choose to drop a farmer straight away, which actually is pretty interesting. And they're now trying to finish their road, which they will now protect, of course. And there's still 6 curves that fit into that square. So it's not a big deal to be dropping their last meeple. Actually, that's kind of neat, because with some crossroads running out, they managed to protect their road, and they will be able to go over here and do something a little bit later. So Tito with a starting tile, an interesting choice. Now we can see that Lambe is trying to block his city at the bottom, which is actually quite dangerous given the fact that if yellow places a road over here, then there will be only one tile that fits into that square. The one remaining left-handed dagger. So what could Tito do? I guess he could maybe go over here trying to harass Lambe's city a little bit, or he could just go over here, connect to the farm straight away. But then I wonder if you want to do that, given the fact that he doesn't have meeples to score, and then he would be exposing a city cap and a 5-point road up for grabs, which only the side that has meeples can benefit from. But then also, if you don't really have anything particularly useful to do with that tile, then why not just spend it there? But he decides to make another productive move, so he adds 1 point to Lambe's ruin, but at the very least he makes sure that this ruin does not grow. So that's actually very smart. It has one downside in the sense that it exposes another blocking opportunity against his city, but we can see that Lambe was setting up a complete block. So if something gets fit into that square, then the city will be completely blocked. But Tito with an indirect defense, limiting that square, making it much harder for yellow to find a tile that fits here, and blocks this meeple completely. In the meantime, Lambe manages to recover a boatload of meeples, and he's ahead on the scoreboard, doing really, really well. However, if Tito does get a tile that fits into that square, although there are not really many of those tiles remaining, in fact, there's only one. The one tile that he needs is the vertical splitter, or horizontal splitter in his case, because all 5 vanilla city caps are already on the board. So this is actually the only possibility. The other possibility is for him to draw an extender, one of the 2 Doritos with a road, and 2 more city caps. So really not many options, but it's certainly an option that he should still be keeping alive. And he will get his meeple back on the right, so he will have a nice 15-point field, or 12-point field rather, and then with another meeple he might equalize Lambe's field on the left, and with that win the game despite his meeple minority. That's a difficult plan, but it's a doable plan. I actually did manage to win one of my playoffs games today with a field with a meeple minority. That was against Wise Maze of Germany in the semifinals, and that was a game that I was quite happy about, and the way you do that is to try to be proactive with the farms, as Tito was over here with this guy over here, and you try to block off entry points into the field, and it appears to be also the case here. So like once he plays something here and here, then actually this field will be pretty closed. Well, it's possible to go over here and connect this farmer into the field, but since this farmer is already scoring 12 points, it won't really be doing that much, and Tito can drop a farmer over here anyway to reconnect and reclaim a majority on an even bigger field. Hi, David. Thank you so much for your kind words. They do mean quite a lot to me, so I do appreciate your congratulations. And honestly, like even during the tournament, some of members of the broader Carcassonne community and viewers of my channels were sort of sending me encouraging personal messages, and it does help to actually play better as well and be in a better mood. So I do appreciate that a lot, and I'm just immensely looking forward to being part of the World Championship again in Herne and meeting so many wonderful players and people. Tito with a Dorito tile. Oh yeah, I guess I'm gonna try and stream his games a little bit more often, because then I get to say Tito with a Dorito. I like the sound of that. Well, he actually has a pretty easy move, that is to go over here and make sure to protect the square, which he sort of needs to claim a 5-point road and to eat up this field over here. I don't really see many other options. Maybe he's considering to not connect to the field, but I really don't like that idea. He does this, Lambe will be taking this 5-point road, but at the very least, the field connection is now completed. And finally, Tito with another straight line, which he will absolutely use to go over here and drop a farmer. The only thing he might be considering is going over here and dropping a farmer, but here seems to be a little bit better. I'm just trying to see if it's possible to even invade. Ah, it's not possible. So all 6 monasteries and all 6 vanilla city cap tiles have gone out. So in fact, if you do drop a farmer at some point, then the only way you can connect is through back-to-back options, like here and here. But it's still worth trying. And I think Lambe, what he's going to do, he actually has a block. He needs to go over here. And that would be very, very powerful. But then still, Tito can actually try and sneak a farmer with 3 tiles from the top. So it's all doable. Especially with a large number of straight lines still remaining. There are still straight lines. It's quite possible. Oh, Lambe, mistake, mistake. Mistake, stake, 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 stake. Yeah, he had a chance to block that square. And I think both players might be miscounting tiles here. Because I double-checked, I'm not miscounting anything. Although I did miscount a few things earlier today in the Mindsports Olympiad. But I kind of noticed that when I stream other people's game, it's just so much easier to see the tile counts than when I play myself. Anyway, yeah, this actually gives Tito another invading chance. So this is a wonderful move here because he can invade with the parallel city caps. And the only way how Lambe can block is just by drawing a straight line. And here's the thing. He might now actually go... Oh, wait. So he now tries to invade the other field that way. That's actually very interesting. But from Lambe's perspective, given the fact that he's ahead, I don't think he had to fight for the field. Like it's probably... It does seem to be quite misguided to me, if you ask me. Because the first of the 2 available starting tiles is drawn by Tito, and now this meeple will be just trapped with 0 points, unless of course Lambe draws the other starting tile, but he happens to get the blocking tile for this square. But still, for this here meeple, life is not over because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still 4 curves remaining, and Tito can just connect to the field like this. So I wonder if the players are seeing this opportunity, but it absolutely exists. The only thing that Tito needs is just draw the starting tile and draw a couple of curves. So let's see if Lambe now notices that blocking opportunity. If he goes over here, there's nothing that fits into this square anymore. It is possible, of course, to still connect this meeple like that into the bottom field. But I guess the players don't notice this. Well, let's see. Will the Chilean notice the connection opportunity through the bottom? It does seem to be like not a very difficult find. And now Lambe has, or at least had, a nice chance to score a little bit more. Instead, he really tries to go for the field, and Tito's really turning this around. He now equalized this field over here. And Lambe just needs the 1 remaining starting tile, and that's it. So in a position where he had an opportunity to get himself basically 100% win, he is now pretty much pleading for a coin flip. Although maybe it's a bit better than a coin flip because he will have actually other chances to drop farmers. So first of all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are actually still 2 curves remaining. And a field connection like this is still possible. I wonder if the players spot this. It's a very difficult to spot because when you drop a farmer like this, you're really thinking about this square. You might not be thinking about actually going the other way and connecting through back-to-back top to the other field. But it's absolutely possible. And in addition to the 2 curves, I believe there must be also a dagger. And yes, 1 dagger is remaining. So actually, multiple tiles available. Lambe just decides to go out on the field. Tito does draw the starting tile, which kills off the opportunity for this farmer. I wonder if it's worth for Tito to go somewhere here or here to disrupt that double curve idea that I was talking about, but it's also interesting if both players are even seeing it. Hi, Andres. Elias is asking, is merging the field really beneficial for black? A little bit, actually. I mean, if black goes over here, he does get extra points. Instead of having 1 tied field for 9 points and 1 field where he has the majority for 18, he will have 1 field where he has the majority for 21. But then, of course, Lambe can go over here and tie the field. But I wonder if both players see that. Lambe is also trying to drop a farmer over here, and that actually could work really, really well. So what can Tito do about this? I just want to check the number of straight lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's still one remaining. I was thinking that maybe we could go over here, trying to prevent the opportunity of Lambe connecting with 2 curves or something. And just to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 2 curves still available. But if we go over here, then I really don't like leaving that 50% chance of drawing a curve, or actually a 60% chance of drawing a straight line. But also I now realize that I miscounted the straight lines. There are no straight lines available. There are no starting tiles available. There are no crossroads available. So if you do go over here, then that is a complete block. There's actually nothing that fits into that square. But there are some other problems. I told you there is a dagger available, and Lambe can draw a combination of dagger over here and curve over here and connect like this. So actually, the more that I think about it, the more useless blocking seems. So the move that I'm thinking is that maybe we just take 4 points over here, and then on our penultimate tile, we just drop some sort of insurance farmer. Or actually, you know what? We might even drop a farmer here right now. But Tito decides to score 4 points and unify the field to make it into a big field, which I want to say makes some sense, but then it actually makes it pretty much impossible. Never mind what I said, yeah. So a big field now in Tito's possession. The last 3 tiles should be, if I'm not severely mistaken, dagger, curve, curve. Which means, actually, unless Tito does anything, sort of Lambe is actually guaranteed to invade over here or over here. But it's very tricky to do anything about that. So you could go over here and score 4 points, and that would block this curve plus curve opportunity. Yeah, so, well, 50-50 chance, of course, Lambe tries to invade here. Lambe missed a win. Because if Lambe were to place this curve over here, he would have a 100% chance of invasion, basically. Well, not 100, still a 50-50. Because if Tito gets a Dorito, then he gets to block. Yeah, it has to be a coin flip regardless, so Lambe chose... Well, I guess the coin flip that gave him 3 fewer points, so that was a bit imprecise. So he tried to invade over here and hope for the other curve. But the other curve was drawn by Tito, winning him the field and the game. We can also see here that tying the field would have actually been enough to win. So that is somewhat unfortunate. Well, actually, wait a second. Couldn't have Tito just outrun Lambe's field connection? If he just takes 4 points over here, and then takes 3 more points on his last move, then he has 3 extra compared to what he has now, right? So he's 18 ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so the field is 21 points, and Lambe would be merging a 6-point field with a 21-point field. So he would be gaining 15. So actually, Tito could just take quick points and outrun his opponent. So both players rather imprecise in the end game, but they both played in the Mind Sports Olympiad, so they also must be tired just like I am. And some of these ideas are really difficult to see, especially this invasion over here. And also the idea of outrunning your opponent's farmer can also sometimes seem to be tricky. It does seem that you absolutely have to win the field from Tito's perspective, but apparently these 4 points were enough. So go figure. Well, the private messages I'm gonna read a little bit later. So let's update the score and see if the Italian manages to respond with something in their second game. Because if not, their tournament is all but over. So both players are rated at an even 6-10 at the moment. Lambe is trying to invade Tito's city, but Tito's gonna reinvade right back. Lambe with a splitter should probably not separate. Instead, maybe going over here at the top with one of the possible orientations, trying to put pressure on both of these squares and get a second meeple in. If he's successful, then that would do a good thing for the player with the yellow meeples, so well done. No need to panic with a splitter. You really don't want to be giving your opponent these 6 points. Tito now takes 4 points, but with that kind of obstruct the square, and then this gives a chance to Lambe to do something like this and actually try and block that square. But instead he chooses to invade, equalize the city straight away, and that's something that makes a lot of sense because Tito immediately has a chance to connect. I wonder if the Chilean chooses to go for the content move and play something like this and fight for the big city. That would, of course, be a move with negative expected value, but that would be fun, and he would be prolonging his road. So I want him to do that. Ultimately, I expect him to just go over here, because if he doesn't do that soon enough, then he's going to get blocked and lose this city. And now this city is basically equal, and after Tito covered it up, there's still 3 tiles that fit into the square, so in all likelihood the city will be equalized. It is not obvious whom the equalization of the city benefits. Tito now scoring some quick points for roads, which puts him ahead on the scoreboard, but Lambe, with just 4 points behind and a lovely monastery, gets also himself a platform for a second monastery. He's now controlling this lovely 3-point road. So actually a slightly better position for the Italian here. Ever so slightly. So whilst Tito is starting a new city and Lambe is thinking what to make of this Dorito, although actually I have one lovely idea. Let's see if he goes for the risky move. No, instead he goes for the normal move, which actually is a grave mistake. I'm really surprised. Basically, he kills off his own monastery spot. That's what it is. Just for the price of... So he sells out for just 1 point. Of course, what you want to do here as the Italian is do something like this. Start a new city next to your own monastery, then increase the value of the monastery spot, potentially getting another field Dorito, a 6-point monastery, and so on and so on. So this city is really inefficient building. But an alternative was just to ignore the square entirely and instead go over here, start a new city in that area, and then maybe poke holes in this shared city over here. If you start a new city like this, then with just a lucky run out of tiles, a couple of big tiles over here, then you suddenly can get a majority in a completable city of about 16 points, with 3 meeples against 2. Lambe does start a new city next to his monastery, which gives Tito a chance to either invade right now, or maybe leave it alone and finish the city and invade on the next turn. So if Lambe draws a Dorito now, which he doesn't, he gets to cover up his city, but this tile is sort of good enough. It's still not the best possible tile, because having 2 city caps like this diagonally apart in your city is a little bit awkward. But the setting up of another monastery spot is actually very nice. And let's see if he breaks it up again. Please don't, please don't, please don't. So the move here is just to start a 4-point road. He might want to go over here and invade Tito's road, which Tito should be super happy about this. Instead, he simply creates an attacking platform against Black City. which makes a lot of sense. I probably still prefer the 4-point road. Just because we are a bit behind on the scoreboard, it's nice to score a little bit to stay within range. Because now, since it's a relatively closed position, what Tito can do is maybe get a couple lucky city caps, score like 8 points for 2 cities. And then this would put him far enough ahead so that a little field of 9 points wouldn't quite cut it for Lambe, and then he would need to start being riskier. So you really need to score a little bit more. Lambe now with a city cap, by the way, he would have finished his 4-point road and started a new city, and now it's no longer possible. So that's why scoring is important. So it seems to me that maybe this attacking platform was just a bit of an overreaction. He now tries to finish his city. Of course, Tito can block with just one curve. He would be restricting this city towards a dagger, only one of which is available, but Lambe manages to save that dangerous square that he himself created. And Tito with 18 points on the scoreboard, as I said, just finishing a quick city. Lambe could have had a city open and a completed road and still a less dangerous city over here, but instead a monastery for Tito will probably go over here, or maybe instead over here actually for just 5 points, but with, or maybe even over here for 5. Yeah, that's the move. Okay, there we go, that's a super strong move. So let's see if the Chilean player finds it. Hi Glovier, and thank you so much for the kind words. Instead Tito goes for this 6-point monastery, which yes, makes sense. It is the second best move. So the quality of this move is, of course, 6 immediate points, but you do give 1 point away for Lambe, and you also give up on the dream of maybe drawing a crossroads, another city plus road tile, and blocking Lambe's monastery spot. But you also happen to reduce some variance because you make sure that Lambe cannot draw this monastery himself and stack for a powerful 16 points. But the move which I really liked was going over here for 5 points. This would have done so many things, supported the city, then also allowed the creation of a 4-point road with tempo, also exposing the square for blocking. But Tito chose a different approach to deal with that city. Instead, he simply connects to it, doesn't try to block, and there's still one splitter in the deck that could go over here and separate the 2 cities, but not a problem. Statistically, it doesn't really happen very often, and even if Lambe gets a splitter, right? Even if Lambe gets a splitter, then Tito has suddenly a completable cities of his own with a couple of Doritos, and the 2 cities are roughly worth the same number of points. Now, this could all change, because Lambe could break that city, or instead he could break Tito's other city, or instead he could break the 2 monasteries, but he chooses to break that other city of Tito, or rather invaded, which seems to be a bit of an overreaction. Now a splitter is drawn by Tito. We're going to see what he does with it in a second. He does have only 1 meeple, but there's of course this idea for a content move of trying to invade over here and then overrun this big city. The problem with that idea, and the reason why it doesn't work very often, is twofold. Well, first of all, there are only 2 Dorito tiles left that fit into this square. Second, you also need a Dorito in this square as well, and on top of that, your opponent will be trying to block that square at all cost. So it's quite possible that you will end up needing the same field Dorito in both places. Moreover, since it is last meeple, it's not really a position where you want to be without meeples, because there are some quick points on the board. There's a city cap up for grabs, there's a 4-point road up for grabs, plenty of curves remaining, so you really need to have a meeple in hand in order to deal with those issues and just stay ahead on the scoreboard. So probably a move like simply scoring 4 points here was best. The reason why I like taking out the city cap is because it exposes 1 more city cap, which then could be meepled by either of the players, but regardless of who meeples this city cap, this would restrict this square, which in turn would make Lambe's field expansion a bit more difficult. Instead, Tito decided to drop a city cap next to his monastery and create more opportunities for quick points, and now a fantastic move here from Tito. Lambe connects to Tito's city. And Tito now takes 2 points, but in such a way that creates a sneaky connection opportunity of this city into this shared city over here. And now this meeple could actually get stranded behind. So now Lambe will need to try to either go over here and disrupt that connection, or he will be forced himself to take a road Dorito and connect his higher scoring part of the city to Tito's temporarily lower scoring part of the city. So not really the best situation for Lambe at the moment, but a great tile with which he can deal with some of these threats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are actually not many big tiles available, only 1 triple city tile. Nope, 0 triple city tiles because I need to zoom out. This tile is, of course, also available, so he could, in theory, go over here and try to limit that idea entirely, but I really don't like doing it because this would be adding points to Tito's city. So as Lambe, my move is probably just going over here and starting to disrupt the monasteries. This would, of course, still leave 2 dagger tiles that fit into that square, but statistically it could take quite a long time for Tito to draw those tiles, and it would take a whole load of monastery finishing combos. First of all, a road monastery doesn't go here anymore, a crossroad doesn't go here anymore, and all kinds of combinations of straight lines and curves no longer are suitable here. So that was an important move for Lambe to make, and I'm pretty sure that they will be trying to follow it up by going over here and trying to completely block that square, but not like this. They should have really scored 4 points. I think Lambe is, again, really underestimating the scoring power of these 2 monasteries. They do block them successfully, but at quite the price of around 4 points, maybe even more if Tito manages to take advantage of that city cap. But then I might have to eat my words, because these blocked monasteries indeed give the Italian some good chances of winning this game, especially now that they are able to use their meeple majority to expand their field. Tito, of course, does take advantage of the 4 points at the top, which we didn't take out, so ultimately this move cost us around 8 points. I still get the congratulations messages, which of course make me very happy. Yeah, Lambe is really exposing a lot of those city caps. Of course, he's dropping farmers left and right, which is great. But given Tito's scoreboard lead in the 2 monasteries, I think the Italian might be overestimating the power of the farms a little bit. And just by leaving Tito with a bunch of scoring tiles, he could be posing himself at a risk of being outrun. But Tito managed to eat up the city caps. He now has 2 farmers on 1 15-point field. Yeah, and this is not enough, because Tito has 15 points in the monasteries right now, plus 12 points extra on the scoreboard, plus 2 extra city points on this, in this situation over here. And that's why what Lambe probably needs is nothing short of a miracle, and this miracle probably needs to come in the form of field points. So if you can get something like the last vanilla tile and another city cap to go over here, then you get 7. But you're still 5 points behind after this, so it will be very, very difficult for Lambe to do something about this. And on top of that, Tito still has the threat of going over here. Now, Lambe actually made something very smart. He's now trying to set up a monastery spot, plus also an opportunity to expand his farm through that monastery spot, bringing in that city over here. But that appears to be a little bit too late and a little bit too slow. Probably Tito can win by just placing a 7-point monastery over here and simply meepling it, or maybe going over here and blocking that monastery spot entirely, which might even be more precise. Now note that Lambe has other scoring opportunities. If he gets road monastery over here, he gets to expand his field that way, bringing in this city into the field for 3 more points. But the price of blocking simply appeared to be too high. He did sacrifice a lot of points, leaving city caps around, and even though black has his monasteries blocked, it just seems that it will be very difficult to deal with that score difference. So Tito does decide to simply score a 7-point monastery, which I think is a decent choice, but it actually leaves Lambe some chances. So first of all, great move here from Lambe, expanding his field, getting himself the 3 points, and also creating scoring opportunities, creating a 4-point road, a 4-point city, which through that road could enter into the main field. So really, really a lot of scoring opportunities. But in the meantime, Tito is going for that city idea. He's eyeing that last extender, trying to eat up a big ruin. So at some point, probably, Lambe would need to hope for the last Dorito and connect the 2 cities at the bottom. So now that finally Tito is thinking with the city cap, he's probably debating between going over here, adding a monastery point and trying to complete the monastery, or keeping it, I guess, on the safe side and scoring 0 points over here just to take out that city cap. But the problem with that latter move is that with a single curve, Lambe could actually take some road points and try and bring that city cap into the field. So we can see that Tito drew the extender to connect all the cities, but just in time, Lambe with the last Dorito connected the 2 cities at the bottom, making it a complete tile, so narrowly avoiding a disaster. Okay, so now I finally have a couple of seconds to update the scoreboard to reflect that Tito has already won the first game, and this is the second game that we're watching. And of course, in a couple of minutes, I will be updating the scoreboard one way or the other. And also, there's an interesting situation here. So Tito actually cannot block this 4-point road. There's still one Dorito with the road. So if Tito goes over here, Lambe can still get 7 points. He can go over here with this city plus road tile, take 4 points plus 3 points for the city cap. But what Tito can do, he can go over here and block the field expansion with the road monastery, both ways actually, because now a road monastery goes here for extra 3 points or here for extra 3 points. The problem is that a road monastery still fits here for a 3-point road and bringing in this city into the field. So actually, yeah, Lambe with some real chances to win this. I also note that there's quite a big ruin at the bottom, and given the fact that there's still one road Dorito remaining, it is, I believe, still possible for Lambe to draw a city cap, or are there? No, there aren't actually city caps to do this, but it's something that Tito still needs to calculate whether it's possible to invade that ruin from Yellow's perspective, but I just don't think that it is possible. There are daggers remaining, but these are daggers of the wrong side, and these daggers actually will be used to great effect. Oh, no, it is the correct dagger. Oh, look at this. So Tito does manage to block the square, and Lambe decides, not to invade anything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I miscount? No, I don't think I did. Yeah, I think maybe the move for the Italian player was actually try and invade that ruin. I think I still see a road Dorito tile. It just happens to be in Tito's hand at the moment. So a 6-point road is all that Lambe has. Yeah, so with some more fortunate tile draws, I believe the Italian could have turned this around, but he wasn't able to outrun Tito's scoreboard plus monastery lead. And let's think about it. So with his last two moves, Lambe scored just 6 points for this road. If he were to try and invade, and let's say if he were to be successful, he would have scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he would have scored 9 points more. Of course, there was only a 1 in 3 chance of that happening, but it appears that's something that he had to go for. So he will be getting his 18-point farm, and we find out that he would not have won anyway. These 9 extra points would not have been enough. So he really needed to draw like a lot of tiles in order to outrun Tito's 3 monasteries. He would need to draw this and this, and also then still use a meeple. Then he would maybe probably win. Actually, even then that would be super hard. So imagine this. So he takes this for 7 points here. Oh yeah, then he takes the Road Monastery for 3 more. That's 10. Well, yes, that's 10. That's not enough. That's just not enough, hey. Yeah, there was just really not that much that he could have done. So I think at some point, what the Italian should have done, he should actually have recognized that his position was a bit more difficult than he had anticipated. And even though the idea of blocking these monasteries is lovely, it's just something that he simply could not afford to do. So he probably just needed to leave them alone for a while, and then score quick points, and then actually leave this field open a little bit and play a bit of a game of chicken. So the point is this. Let's say if Tito takes that field with his last meeple, then you can suddenly reinvade that field, unify all the fields, and win the big field with 2 versus 1 majority, as opposed to 2 versus 0. And if Tito does not, well, then you can just place the farmer there a little bit later. So that would have possibly been a way to go. But yeah, really not the most easy position for the Italian, as Tito is scored quite confidently with his monasteries, managed to neutralize all of the Italians' threats, and even created a counter threat of his own. There was a very neat idea of trying to crawl all the way and eat up the city. Actually, a similar pattern, although not quite, was, like sometimes this pattern where with the horse tile, you just take 2 points and it looks as if you're taking 2 points, but it actually sets up some sort of backdoor city invasion or city connection. And earlier today, in the match for semifinals that would decide who the 4th semifinalist would be, Josef Tichon of Hungary with the screen name Siegfried was playing against Pavel Hudec of Czech Republic with the screen name Posi118. And it was quite a close game. Siegfried missed his field connection, and then towards the end of the game, he actually tried to sneak an invasion like this. And then the geometry of that was super sneaky. So he ended up just scoring like 2 quick points, exactly like this. Except that there wasn't any meeples over here. And then on his next move, he could have meepled this city over here, and then just connected to the big shared city with an extender and a horse. But instead, he did something different. So he had the same idea, just a bit of a lower probability. So he just placed... So he basically delayed the connection 1 move later than he should have, and then that ended up losing him the game. Yeah, but that setup was like super sneaky, and you have to watch that game. It's like super high level. So that was, well, from a few hours ago. If we just go to either Siegfried or Posi's profile and you see the last game that they played between each other, and the scoreboard the score difference is like under 10 points in that one, and you can look at the end game and try to see that pattern for yourself. Hi, Terevisama. Elias Mochan is saying you never noticed that they both had 610 elo. No, I did. I literally said that they have the same elo at the start of the 3rd game. Yeah, a tempo is essentially a turn, but typically it occurs. So for example, I referred here to a tempo when I was talking about this here situation. So here's what I was saying, like if Tito Arce takes monastery over here, he's setting up this road move with tempo. So Tito has two purposes. He has the purpose of building up his monastery and getting a meeple back if he were to go here. And he also tries to invade or block against this city. And what tempo means is that it kind of accomplishes two things in once. So if he were to build up his monastery, that would automatically create the platform for invasion. And so that's what it means to build up with tempo. So like you make a move that serves one purpose, but it also has a positive side effect for you, like a threat to which your opponent is forced to react. And because your opponent is forced to react and defend, this means that you have time to build safely yourself. It's a concept which I try to utilize a lot in my games, and that paid nicely a lot in some key moments in this championship as well. And that's something that I'm going to talk about in my recap video, particularly in the round 7 match of the qualifier stage of the tournament that I was playing against my teammate Krish Kauchis. There was one move that created that tempo opportunity that actually mattered a lot in that game. The concept originates from chess. So, for example, if you make a move that, let's say, develop your piece, but if at the time you're also attacking a piece of your opponent, you say that this move is with tempo because they're forced to spend the move reacting to your attack and maybe hiding their piece. And that way, instead of making something useful for yourself, they're just forced to react to your thing. And this also works like a charm in Carcassonne. So for example, when I do choose monastery spots, I look for these opportunities. Can I, in the future, build up the monasteries by, for example, creating threats to my opponent's cities, or by creating invasion squares, or like expanding my field, or doing something like this that would force my opponent to react and give me more time to finish my feature safely and get my meeples back. Hi, Sunny. And I guess we should wrap this up. So we do congratulate the player with the, I was going to say with the Chilean meeples. I guess they could be called Chilean. So we congratulate Hector Arce for defeating his Italian peer. Now it becomes difficult or next to impossible for Lambe to qualify. They will be the only player with 3 losses, and with that, in no likelihood, eliminated from this Carcassonne Champions League, unless, of course, they win their next 2 matches 2-0, and between these 4 players, they get some sort of favorable outcome. Tito, on the other hand, is in a great position. They're in sole 2nd place with 2 clean wins, and they also won 2-0 instead of 2-1, which is great for their tiebreakers. Let me just reflect that on the scoreboard. And then that is going to be it. So first of all, I need to remind you all to meeple the like button for the algorithm if you like this match or anything about this. If you're here for the first time, then please be advised that there's loads of this type of content coming up. The Carcassonne Champions League is running for 3 more weeks. So, no, 3 more weeks, 6 more weeks. So if you want to get more competitive Carcassonne content like this, then do make sure to subscribe and click the bell notification icon. Before we leave, some plans for the nearest future. There is a stream tomorrow. We're starting with week 4 of the Carcassonne Champions League, 13:30 UTC, Monday. Yuha Hanemi of Taiwan will be playing against Samuelson of Ukraine in Group G. That's also quite a convoluted group with an interesting tournament table. Taiwanese expert against Ukrainian master, and also like a high-level expert. I'm not sure. They might even be a master, but if they were, then I missed that moment when they crossed the 700 threshold. So anyway, two very strong players, maybe one a little bit stronger than the other, but it should be an exciting match to watch. And a clash of styles as well. So very open type of Carcassonne from Samuelsson, and a bit of a closed, more like a blocky style from Juhai Hanemi as well. Always love then what happens. And then stay tuned for some uploads on this channel, because right now I'm planning to start, like literally after this, recording my recap video of the Mind Sports Olympiads, of which I'm still absolutely elated, and I immensely appreciated all the support from y'all that has certainly helped me take down that gold medal. So then that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.